with the Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Mr. Fierstos is gone. Mr. Penrod.
Here.
Mr. Orr.
Here.
Mr. Bias and Mr. Raymer's gone. Mr. Esposette.
Here.
And I'm here. We have 4. Any additions, deletions?
We're going to merge 6.1 and 6.2 into one recommendation under employment.
Okay, thank you. Hearing of patrons. Would anyone like to be heard this evening? All right, thank you. Presentations and recognitions.
Yes, I invited Sharon Lehman to come and talk about her phenomenal kids and her phenomenal music program. So she's going to highlight the Indiana All-State Honors Choir and also the Indiana State Music Association Solo Ensemble Contest. So I invite you.
To be here this evening to recognize this year's Indiana All-State Honor Choir members, and thank you for the opportunity. For many students, choir is where they first discover that their voice matters and that their voice can be part of something bigger than themselves. That's certainly true in our daily choir classes at Manchester, and it's powerfully experienced at an event like All-State. So I'm going to introduce the singers one at a time, and when I say your name, just step forward so they know who it is. So Michaela Hinton. This was her first year in All-State. She sang alto. Michaela is a sophomore. She also participated in solo and ensemble, which I will talk about in a little bit, and she was just in a musical, or Seussical, the musical. Okay, and then Bronwyn, go ahead and step forward. This was her second year in All-State. Bronwyn sang soprano, and she's a junior. Also did solo and ensemble, also was just in the musical. And then we have Lily Lincolnhoker. This was her second year in All-State. She was an alto. Lily is a senior. She also was in solo and ensemble and also was in Seussical. And then Milo Hupp. This was Milo's third year in All-State. Milo sings baritone, and he is a senior. Also did solo and ensemble and was the techie person for the musical, the main tech person. Go ahead and step back, Milo. So All-State Honor Choir is exactly what it sounds like. Students from all over the state audition for a spot in this competitive honor choir. The state's divided into regions. Each region has a quota for the number of students that can be selected. That's based on the number of singers that audition that year. Our area includes schools in the counties of Adams, Huntington, Kosciuszko, Wabash, Wells, and Whitley, though not all schools send students to audition. This year we had 41 students in our area from 7 different schools audition for All-State. So our quota ended up being 18 total singers out of that 41. And Manchester claimed 5 of the 18 spots. It's about 28% of the quota. One of our students ended up having to drop out. The All-State concert was held in January. It's always held during the Indiana Music Educators Conference. It's the final performance of the conference weekend. And it's always just a jaw-dropping experience, at least as an audience member, to hear 250 of the top voices around Indiana joining together. They bring in every year a very well-known conductor, a different person every year, but somebody who is usually nationally recognized. And this year they just had a phenomenal director, and it's just an amazing experience. They bring that energy and knowledge then back to their own local choir program, and that helps elevate all of that. And then to tag on with that, these are very busy students. So not only are they in music, they are Science Olympiad and cheer, and they work, some of them. They're in theater. They just do all kinds. Some of them are in band. So the first 3 here are also in band. So they go back and forth between band and choir. They're very busy students. And they did participate in solo and ensemble as well. We had 43 students total in grades 7 through 12 participate in solo and ensemble. We had 32 solos and 5 ensembles. 19 of the events were Group 1, which is the highest division you can go. And at district, all events earned a gold rating. Now that I say with the background knowledge that at district it has become quite a bit easier to get gold. So that, I'm proud of them for that, but it doesn't mean as much to me as the fact that all 17 events that advanced to state also earned gold. So we were solid gold across the board. And that state solid gold means a lot more to me because they are judging at a harder level. The judges tend to be college professors from the universities and colleges around Indiana. So we're really proud of that. As I mentioned, Susical just happened. If you didn't see it, you missed out. It was a phenomenal production. So thank you to Jennifer Reichenbach and Kathy Hawkins for that. If you follow Manchester Junior Senior High School on Facebook, you might have seen chamber choir performing the national anthem at the sectional game Friday night. And 3 of those singers were in that group. We have received so much positive feedback from that performance of the national anthem. They just do a really, really nice job with that. And then coming up just this Friday, it never ends, we have Wabash County Honor Choir. And this is the 52nd year for that, and all 4 of these students have auditioned and made it into Wabash County Honor Choir. So that performance is at 7:30 on Friday at the Honeywell Center. Super proud of these students and all of my choir students, and let's give them a round of applause.
Are we going to ask questions or anything?
Yeah, I've warned them that you might ask questions, so go for it. If you have any.
I just want to say, I'm shocked at how quiet they're being, having spent the last 5 or 6 weeks with them.
They're intimidated.
And Susical the musical, they are not always quiet. But I will say this, having been with them the last 5 or 6 weeks, the future is in good hands with not only this group, but really just the collective group of our students that are in the performing arts. They're outstanding students, very talented, outstanding academically, and these are just 4 shining examples of that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Sure. I'd say that 20 or 30 years ago, from now, you're going to get together with your friends that have gone through these programs, and you're going to laugh and think back at the great time you have. So just enjoy the ride. Enjoy every minute of it. So you've done well.
No senioritis, right?
No.
So I gotta know this, like, who do you give credit to for your voice, your mom or your dad, or someone else?
Okay. Some of them have parents in here, so it'll be
Uh-oh.
Mom. Okay. And Dad.
Yeah.
Good job.
Nice.
Yeah. Milo has grown up in a household of all kinds of music, so yeah. Bronwyn, your parents are right there. This is your chance to shout them out. Your dad's like, yeah, maybe.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cause conflict.
No, that's totally fine.
No, awesome.
I like
Great
to see him
job.
squirm a little bit, so. All right, thank you so much
Thank
for the
you.
opportunity.
Good job.
Nice. Solid gold. Sounds like a promotional thing, doesn't it? Huh? Moving on here. Financial report, Dr. Stevens. Thank you. Got to get them involved, right?
Good evening. So again, keep this short and sweet. Numbers pretty much reflect last month. As you go look this, total revenue, we were down about $6,700. Our total expenses, we were in the black by $74,000, or $67,000, I'm sorry. So when you get all down the bottom for the projection, we were projecting month end to be, or year end to be around 1923, and right now we're at 1991. So in education, so we're holding our own on that. Operation. Pretty much the same picture. So when you look at our revenue, we were down about 8,300. When you compare that, we were estimated our expenses, so we were 73,000 in the black. When you do all the math, we ended the month about 64,000 in the black compared to what we were anticipating. Now, I just want to point out, right now we're showing an actual of 379,000 month end. Last year, because of the bond bank, we did not go negative until May. We will probably go negative maybe at the end of this month, definitely in April. The reason was, if you recall, we had about 170,000 shortfall in our collections from 25 taxes. We didn't carry over 170,000, so that means that we didn't have those funds up front to balance out. So hopefully those funds will show up this year with tax collections. Usually what happens is if you're short 1 year, collections are a little higher than next year as people make payments. So that's what we're hoping for. But I just wanted to point out that we will be probably negative. Again, at the end of this month, I expect to be positive, but we'll start going negative in April instead of May for next year, or for this year. The other thing is we are reworking cash flows. So probably next month, these won't look a lot different, but we're building out, Shelley's building out for the next 5 years, 4 years, cash flows. So we're looking at that, same thing you've seen in the past. Ours currently ends in 27, so we're building it out through 2030. So, any questions on any of that? Okay, the next thing is additional appropriation, public hearing. That is basically just asking the public to respond to the advertisement we put into place for the additional appropriation. And then that hearing will be closed. And then Stephanie from Barnes & Thornburg is here for the final paperwork for the $2 million bonding that we've been talking about for 5 months.
Okay.
So the hearing will be first, and then Stephanie will come on after that.
We just want to do that now. So call the hearing to order.
No public.
Any public comment? We'll close the hearing.
Stephanie?
You want me to get that done?
Thank you. I'll also make this nice and short. Last month, you already did the preliminary determination for these bonds. So what you're doing right now tonight is to actually approve the bond resolution, to go forward with the bonds. And those are for an amount of not to exceed $2,040,000 with a rate not to exceed 7%, with a final maturity of January 15th, 2031. And so the first resolution that you can act upon is the actual bond resolution to approve those bonds. And then the second resolution would be to appropriate those funds to be able to use them for the project. So those are the two resolutions that I have with me tonight. Got copies to be able to circulate, but if you want to take a motion, and if you have any questions about them.
So correct, one would be a motion to authorize and one would be a motion to appropriate. Is that?
Correct. Motion to approve
Oh,
the
it's
bond
just one
resolution,
copy.
and then a motion to approve the additional appropriation resolution.
Appropriations.
Any questions about the bonds?
You guys have any questions on the bonds? Make a motion to approve. I'll do it.
The bond.
Mr. S. Second. Mr. Orr. Discussion?
Only discussion is just kind of for the public's sake, these bonds will be used for facilities and buses, and it's a part of kind of our capital improvement.
No, these bonds are reimbursement bonds, they'll be used for salaries and benefits.
Okay,
for
salaries and benefits.
operating
Just want to keep pointing that out to the public what we're using those funds for.
Nope. Yep, good, Adam. So, any additional comments? Which is not abnormal. No.
Yep.
All in approval?
Aye.
4-0.
And the second is, you need a motion to approve the appropriation resolution.
And then, motion to approve the appropriation resolution.
Make a motion to approve the,
Mr. Penrod, a second. Mr. Orr, discussion? No discussion? All in favor? Aye.
And just to follow up on the question, so the $3 million bond that you were talking about was basically the construction renovation, that expires next year.
Okay.
So we'll come back in '27 asking for authorization to do another bond for the same amount, which will be outside of all this.
Which would be facility related,
Yep.
so.
Oh, there is?
You want to
Yeah.
take them? Okay.
It's not a lot of
Together.
choice.
One,
No, two, we gotta find me.
Well,
The other two there. Yeah, sorry.
is this it?
No, that's just an extra one too. No, but that's fine. Yep, that's great.
Sign 'em all.
There's that one there.
thank you.
Any of you guys want a copy of this?
It's only one page, right?
Is that it?
Is that the three you need?
Two? Wait, what's this one?
Oh, this is the
I
actual.
thought she said there were 3
We're
copies.
gonna make its initial each page, huh?
There's one. So we set those down south, right?
That's empty? You need all copies signed, correct?
Yes.
All copies.
Just in time for dinner.
How was that?
Just in time for dinner.
Taking overtime here, buddy.
There's another one.
More?
Appreciate your help.
Freaking nervous. Sign all this stuff.
Mars?
What happened to this one now?
He is not.
No.
Brian Raymer.
Yeah, give him the new.
You need Brian's?
So do 4 of us sign?
Okay, here's
3 enough here?
4 can sign.
Okay, Mike hasn't signed. yet. Oh, wait a minute,
No,
Doc,
no.
my fault. Not counting good tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, so. I haven't done that one yet.
Oh, you are.
Another one?
Thank you.
I think I got a copy.
Might use Brian's signature as secretary.
Yeah. Make him stay.
How do you keep them straight? Well,
Also got
yeah. Thank you.
Well, it's a quorum,
I'm
so
sorry.
One more.
I don't want to mess it up.
if not, we'll get it.
Consent items.
Financial people are laughing. That makes me nervous. Is that it?
Yep, on to consent items.
Did you want to approve the financial report?
Yep. Motion to
Motion
approve the financial
approved.
report. Mr. Penrod, thank you.
Second.
Mr. Epstein, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Good work on the financial report.
Yeah.
Moving into consent items, claims. Any questions? Minutes? Resignations?
Resignations and retirements. We have 3, Nancy Hanback, teacher at MIS, after 33 years total, 19 years at Manchester Community Schools. Terry Pierce, Manchester Junior Senior High, retirement after 5 years at Manchester. And Madison Barrera, custodian, resignation.
thank you for your service. Wow, Ms. Ganbeck, a while, huh?
No grants to report today.
Donations, somebody got donations up? Thank you, Rick.
Okay, for this month, $500 to the junior senior high for the APES Physics Trip West from various donors. $200 to the junior senior high for the FFA program from an anonymous donor. $500 to the junior senior high for the AP Bio Florida trip from the Jones Petrie Rafinsky Corporation. $395 to the Junior Senior High Library Fund from Manchester Junior High School Library and Audiovisual Endowment facilitated by the Community Foundation of Wabash County. And finally, $2,650 to Manchester Community Schools for school lunch from the North Manchester Congregational Christian Church. Total amount, $3,045. Thank you.
Thank you, community.
Thank you. We have one facility rental request, the Old German Baptist Youth Group, April 5th. It's a Sunday, I believe it's a Sunday. They utilize the gymnasium, commons, and cafeteria. They do this on a regular basis. And it's for their youth group. Youth come from all over the area.
They're our highest frequency user, aren't they?
Yep.
I think so. Motion to approve the consent items.
So move.
Thank you, Mr.
Second.
Orr. Second, Mr. Penrod. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
4-0. Okay, employment.
Employment, we have Heather Turfling, our MIS intramural basketball coach, Allie Kaufman, MIS intramural basketball coach, Jen Birch, MIS intramural basketball coach, Andrea Epstead, MIS intramural basketball coach, Ashton Bradford Johnson, junior senior high track coach, Erica Yard, junior high track assistant, Blake Knudsen, junior high track assistant, Asia Snyder, MIS long-term sub ECA treasurer, that's filling a maternity leave, Steve Runkle, assistant softball coach, junior senior high, and Krista Cagle, MES one-on-one paraprofessional.
Awesome. Motion to approve employment.
I will.
Mr. Esposito, second. Mr. Orr, any discussion? Welcome aboard, everyone, and those that are already here. All in favor?
Aye.
Next is the Food to School Cooperative Contract. It's the contract we sign every year. It's operated through, and I'm going to make sure I get this right. I think it's Northwest Allen acts as the agent. Northwest Allen acts as the agent. But multiple school districts come together, create a cooperative. It makes our purchasing power stronger for commodities for the lunch program. So it's just to approve to continue to work with Food to School Cooperative for our 2026-2027 participation commitment.
Motion to approve Food to School Cooperative Contract. Thank you, Mr. Orr. Second, Mr. Penrod. Any discussion? How are we looking on the food front?
Good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Cost and everything?
This definitely helps keep the cost down.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yep.
And there are multiple cooperatives that we can, in the area that we can resource from if need be. So it definitely helps purchasing power to buy in those bulk quantities.
All in favor?
Aye.
4-0. Discussion information?
The discussion information, we always do a first read, and then usually more questions in the second read. But you have before you the junior senior high handbook, athletic handbook, the parent student handbook, MIS parent student handbook, and MES parent student handbook. As you review those between now and second read, changes are highlighted in yellow. The bulk of the changes are what I consider administrative changes, changing dates, if teachers' names change, et cetera. There's not a lot of change to the structure of the books. I went through them all, actually one final time again today. But I would just encourage you to review them, formulate any questions you might have, and then when we do our second read, we'll make sure all administration is here. They can answer any questions if need be. Then we try to get those approved. Then that way they're uploaded when we start our online registration process. Part of that process is students have access to that, and they sign off on that they have received. Those are also online on our website too, so they're accessible in that form too.
And there's no action on these, but along that lines, like with the new legislation, new policies, I know Casey and Mariah both kind of talked about they'll be willing to like sit on a policy committee and just kind of go through
Yep.
some of that stuff. So
Yeah, there'll have to
whenever
be
you're
an
ready.
amendment. We're waiting on, for example, they have beefed up the cell phone usage, electronic usage in schools. We're waiting on guidance from ISBA and our school attorney. Once that guidance comes out, we'll have a committee get together. We'll probably do some surveying, and we'll formulate a policy that meets the letter of the law, to the best of our ability. So,
And you're still in and digging into Neola.
yep. Was flying through that the other day and putting ones that I know we need to get together on, and
Okay.
so.
Awesome. Heartland update?
Just
Oh,
one
sorry.
question, just the
Yes.
process, Tony, just for clarification.
Sure.
I would assume these handbooks are written at building level and
Writ-
then.
Written at building level, you typically with teacher input and administrative input, and then also anything that, like if there's a change in a law, something like that, those changes will be made. Then you guys review them, and then we do a second read, can answer any questions, and then once we approve them, then they get uploaded and finalized. And the changes are highlighted in yellow, and them as you go through them. So again, I would say the bulk of the changes have been more administrative, what I consider
Right,
administrative changes, but
Have are students ever involved in some of the discussions?
I know not at probably not at the MIS and MES level.
Free ice cream.
I can find that out, and I can send a message out to you guys to let you know if that's
Yeah.
if there's on the high school committee or not.
So we actually had a discussion today on that as far as like if we have, I don't know, I've read some stuff like having like parent committees for like book reviews and things like that, but also kind of having them take a look at policies and things. I mean, you can look at this, why do we have separate ones? I think the schools are different enough probably in the administrative where they want, some autonomy as far as the handbooks go, as far as not consolidating, so. But no, yeah, good suggestion.
Yeah, and we're going to have to give a lot of weight to the administrators and teachers at those various levels, because we don't do this for a living, so.
No, but you are
We
the
need
ears
to-
of the community, so the things we hear, we should go through these right and maybe doctor these up, and then next meeting, we come back with some recommendations, or in the past, we've had some, like a policy committee where some of the board members served and just kind of review through things, give a little bit of initial feedback on things like that, so that's.
Okay.
Yep. Ready for Heartland update?
I am so ready. Just a lot of great stuff going on at Heartland, and I'm serious. When the ag teacher and a number of her students decided that maybe they'd like to farm the 32 acres surrounding Heartland, Precision Ag Program. They came and made a presentation, and probably 15 to 20 students and as many adults have a really strong advisory board. You would know the names. There are donations from those board members being made in terms of fertilizer, and other things. So anytime we can support young people in what they'd like to do, I think it's just a great opportunity. Even drones. I mean, this is going to be cool. So that is in the works, and I think the other item is Heartland applied for permission to submit a grant to the Don Wood Foundation. And one of 8 institutions selected to actually submit the grant. So we're going to be working through that process, and Tony, maybe, I don't know who the other 7 are. But,
I'm not sure who the other 7 are, but I think we discussed this last week. This was a planning grant that we submitted for
Exactly.
$150,000 to then move forward with planning with a focus from the Don Wood Foundation on advanced manufacturing, entrepreneurship, and leadership. So we will start that process as a group. It involved all county schools and also Community Foundation assisting with some of the writing. Sure. So it'll be exciting to see where that goes, and it's the potential for a $1 million grant.
Sure. And there's quite an emphasis on industrial internships. I mean, I was listening to the radio the other day, just driving along, they were talking about that. And some states are giving stipends to the employers of $3,500 a year if they will take on, not in Indiana, but,
Sounds like a good legislative proposal, huh?
well,
Oh,
what do you
yeah.
think? What do you
No.
think? So there you go. I'm just really great management team down there. Great leadership. People are excited about what's going on, and fine young people, and it's good for the community. So there you go.
And that guy, how many times do you hear his name? What a legacy, right? What a, again, I
Right.
had the privilege
Yeah.
of working with him a little bit, right? So it's kind of cool. But Heartland, I had a good interview with Farm Bureau group today over the state senate race, and we were talking about these same issues, right? And farming is a business,
Oh.
so what, I mean, it's still like, what are we missing is like critical thinking, right? That's.
Sure.
And so, we're addressing that in the CTE center, but see it somewhere else, but, nope, thank you, Fred.
You bet.
Legislative update?
And less exciting news. As Tony mentioned, the SB 78 cell phone restriction, kind of more of an expanded upon bell-to-bell ban. Basically, they can't have any type of personal devices, phones, smartwatches, tablets out during the instruction period. It's got to be stored away somewhere for the entire day. So I'm sure that'll be fun for the teachers to fight each day.
Good luck.
Another kind of more broadly impacted bill is the A to F accountability change on House Bill 1004, which shifts the state's school grading system to a new framework that calculates points based on individual student performance rather than relying solely on a school-wide average test scores. And that's to add to that the accountability for students showing up. So attendance is rolled into that as well. So having students be at school will impact our grade, not just student learning, but also just in attendance. So huge kind of rollout. And I think when we get a grade as kind of the baseline grade this school year, but then they'll kind of use that moving forward to kind of recalculate. Tony, is there anything you want to add to that, or still kind of too much muddy waters?
I'll talk a little bit about my superintendent comments, but yeah, they just approved it. It was approved last week, finally. It was supposed to initially be approved in November. They kept getting feedback and some pushback and trying to refine. They'll baseline this year, and then from there build off your baseline. And I think the good thing about the accountability model is there are a lot of ways for schools to show improvement through their individual students. So just typical growth. I mean, it could be that a student maybe doesn't pass, but they grew. Maybe they are approaching passing. They call them points, but they can get points toward the total, for the school, toward that letter grade. Attendance, courses they take. Do we offer any high school courses that 8th graders take? Those are all like bonus points, right? The seals. So there are a lot of factors, and I'm going to talk about. We're actually going to meet with someone to refine that and really fine tooth it and understand it a little bit better here in a couple of weeks. So.
A couple more, and this one I did not research much, but I found it pretty interesting that there's a SB 309 charter school restriction, so implementing a 5-year moratorium on charter schools after June 30th, 2026. So I don't have much details on that, if that was actually went, I mean, assuming it, what I found, it went through. Another one, Senate Bill 130, allows schools to permit chaplains to work or volunteer to provide secular or non-secular advice, given parents' permission. So that was something prior to. I think that's a step in the right direction when it comes to, I guess, emotional support and those that need that, kind of instead of a counselor, but maybe there's other avenues to help with that, services of students' needs. And I think that was everything I've got notable. For the most part, I don't think it was too exciting of a legislative session. There's a whole lot of noise like usual, and at the end, a lot of stuff falls off. Even the junk food one that I kept bringing up, restricting certain food types, that one didn't go through. So,
I'm still disappointed that they didn't make the tenderloin the state sandwich of Indiana,
Yeah.
but
keep
they
trying.
try every year.
They try every year.
You guys
so.
are just trying to fire me up, aren't you?
The important topics of the world.
Can you share a little bit more about the charter school moratorium?
I didn't do a lot of research to know exactly the fine points, but that's what was pulled up. I don't know much about
Meaning
that. So
It's
the moratorium is basically they're not going to approve any new ones coming, charters requesting to be established after
Okay.
June 30th for 5 years. So
Okay. That's what I was-
might be one to look up if you want to see what that's about, but definitely kind of a shift when it comes to public school, private school funding. So.
Well, I think partly the shift in the model is it's, so in adult education, right, the point system's used for funding adult education a lot more, where it's a little more flexible, so I think they're sort of piggybacking off some of that model as far as what the A to F. What do you think? Is that is that a positive thing, or is that a shame thing, or both? So when I think about our students, some of them that have retention issues, some of our schools that have inequity, so if you get an A, is that a positive thing? And if you get a D and an F, is that a negative thing? Is that the point behind it?
Well, I mean,
I'm just doing this
Yeah.
rhetorically, right?
yeah.
So-
It's been 7 years since we've had a letter grade. So, we sought accountability models. I do think the expansiveness of this can be a positive thing, because I think now, and when you looked before, let's say 55% of your students passed iLearn in a certain grade level, right? It was what it was. Now, if 55% pass, but others show growth, right, there's a benefit to that, to them showing growth. It might take some students longer to get to a certain place, than others, and
Right.
they still, I think, get some, quote unquote recognition in this model for that, which I think has been lacking. And also the courses that kids take, what schools offer when. So it's definitely broadened. And I'm sure once we get the final view of this and gain, we'd be glad to present something on that model so that the community and the board has a strong understanding of what the new accountability model is.
I think that would be smart. I'm just going, what viewpoint I'm
Yep.
taking here.
Yep.
Like, we defeat a lot of kids, right, with grades, when I just wonder if it's necessary sometimes. But it is directly related to attendance, right? And so but the other thing on that is, so there's threats like, okay, throw you in jail or whatever. What do we change in this school inside the classroom? And not knocking what we're doing, right? But what do we change in the future to engage kids more? Or is that even possible? That's like the question that always comes in my mind. Why do we have to worry about attendance? So I was kind of bored in high school, right? I skipped a few days myself. So, when do we talk it, Anyway, we'll move on. Superintendent comments?
Yeah, just cover a lot of things that have been wrapping up and getting ready to start. Winter sports wrapping up. Tomorrow's the last middle school wrestling match. Mr. Silvius and then the admin ran a very successful boys sectional this past weekend. Manchester hosted, and it went off without a hitch. It was very well run. Spring sports practices are underway. Track teams already had some indoor competition. As you heard from Mrs. Lehman, spring musical took place this past weekend. The students performed Sioux School the Musical. They did, because of sectionals, Friday night, they did a Saturday night performance and a Sunday matinee and Sunday night performance, and had really outstanding crowds. And as I said before, the students, they're just an excellent group of kids, very committed, and really, I think, did the community proud. It was good to see the community support of our fine arts department. The Color Guard performs in their last competition this weekend at Plainfield High School. Mrs. Lehman mentioned the Wabash Honors Choir and Band Concert will take place this Friday, the 13th at 7:30 at the Honeywell Center. I believe admission to that is free. It packs out. It's a wonderful opportunity to hear a really talented group of students from the county under the direction of, again, some high-profile directors. So they came here for practices, a band, like percussion practice together, and woodwinds, brass practice together, and all the directors work together to do that. And then they'll come together for a day or two under the direction of the director who's going to be directing at the Honors Choir and Band Concert. So that is coming up. Also, this is an important one because I love it. The FFA Fish and Chicken Fry is Wednesday the 25th. Pickups between 4 and 7 p.m. and tickets are $13 a piece. The earlier you get there, the less of a line you have to wait in, because last year I had to get in line on Market Street and snake my way around. But that's coming up March 25th. Academically, high school recently wrapped up ACT testing. The elementary school is completing iRead. Some of the results have already began to come in. We've had a lot of sickness push through, MIS and MES especially, but also the high school, that's impacted some of the timing of getting some of that testing done. So I know I was in a meeting yesterday with Ms. Watkins and some teachers, and they are pushing to get those final testing 3 to go. So hopefully, who knows what the way the weather is. It's 70 today and 20 on Monday. But I'm hoping this illness eventually works its way out. I know we've sanitized buildings over the last several days, and the NAEP test was given today to a group of 8th graders. It's the National Assessment of Education Progress. It's called the Nation's Report Card. It's a congressionally mandated low-stakes assessment that measures student academic achievement across in the U.S. in grades 4, 8, and 12. Provides a consistent national benchmark for subjects like reading, math, and science. So they pick out of all of our 8th graders, they might pick 47 or so students to take it. Doesn't hold any bearing to us, just gives a national report card. They do it all across the United States on how 4th, 8th, and 12th grade are performing in those areas. Tuesday morning, March 24th, so I think 2 weeks from today, the administration will be meeting with Mr. Steve Baker. Mr. Baker is a retired school principal from Bluffton. We'll be meeting with him to hear final details on the new accountability model that was approved by the State Board of Education earlier this month. Steve has been traveling, and he's already been here once, and he spoke on our professional development day to all of our teachers, because the model at that time we thought was fairly close. He's going to come back in now that it's been finalized and meet with some key staff members just to make sure we have a really good grasp on the accountability model. And he's been doing those presentations all over the state of Indiana. And other than that, this is the time of the year when things really start to move quickly. Lots going on. Spring break's fast approaching. Before you know it, we'll be celebrating with the class of 2026 on May 29th for graduation. And it's go, go, go time now. We will blink not too many times and it'll be the end of May. So it's my report for today.
Thank you. Board comments?
I do want to retract on their charter school. I'm not real sure for sure on that one. It looks like it was proposed. I don't know if it actually got passed right through, so.
I'd bet money against that one getting by, but.
Yeah, I don't think it did after I saw it, but yeah, interesting. The one on the website that I pulled up had that one there, so I'll get further clarity on that one.
Cool. Anything else, guys? Nope, yep, you're right. Have we got everything on graduation kind of squared away?
As far as dates and,
Dates, who's walking, all that stuff? Okay,
yep, squared away, yep.
awesome. Anything else? Fred, come on now. Rick?
Oh, I will mention, sorry, I can mention one more thing. And Ms. Watkins being here made me think of it. We did have 4 really good interviews yesterday for DLI teachers. And we have, I think, maybe a few more that potentially might be coming. So excited about that because often it seems like it's late April or May and we're in scramble mode. And we're definitely ahead of the curve thanks to Mrs. Kieran Dongo, thanks to Mackenzie Coulter-Kern, Mrs. Watkins, just for being persistent and getting the word out there and reaching contacts that we've developed and have and are developing. So we had some really good, we spent 4 hours, a little 4.5 hours yesterday conducting Zoom interviews with individuals from here in the States and in Mexico. So it was a good experience.
Good. What are we missing? Anything? Like, things are going pretty decent, right? So we'll keep it that way. Motion to adjourn?
We're off.
Mr. Penrod, Mr. Orr, all in favor? Thank you.
Aye.
4-0.